Calculations enable you to create new data and answer questions that cannot be answered by the source columns. Simple calculations can be created in the data module opened by a dashboard. Inserting a calculation into a dashboard can make it more meaningful by deriving additional information from the data source. Calculations created in the dashboard are available just in that dashboard. They are not stored in the data asset. If the calculation is going to be used in multiple dashboards and reports or by multiple authors, create it in data modules so it can be used by the wider audience. In this video, you will see how to create simple calculation using two numeric values, how to use a calculation to create a target or baseline value, how to use a calculation to manipulate text, and how to create a complex calculation using functions. A calculation is created by clicking more on a numeric value. Create calculation. I'm going to create a column that will be a 15% increase for the number of calls. I change the expression to multiply, change the constant to 1.15. Notice that the name changes as I change the calculation. I'm going to accept that name. And the new column appears at the top of the list for the table. To demonstrate the new column, I'm going to use a KPI. Call count gets dropped in the base slot. And the new target gets dropped in the target slot. I can use a calculation to create a value that I can use as a target or baseline in my visualizations. On call log, select more, calculation. I type the value that I want to use as my baseline, give the calculation the name, and I want to select calculate after aggregation because I don't want the target value aggregated in my visualizations. Target appears at the top of the list for the call log table. To demonstrate how the new column can be used, a column chart gets dropped onto the canvas. Agent ID gets dropped into the bar slot. Call count gets dropped in the length slot. Now I applied a filter earlier to take away some of the noise and just show some of the agents. And now I take target, drop it in the target slot, and we can see our 10,000 target now showing. A simple calculation can also be created using two numeric values. And in this case, I want to calculate what percentage of handle time, which is the total time of the call, is taken up by talk time. I select the two numeric values, click more, create calculation, and you can see that the two values appear. Now, because I'm calculating a percentage, it's very easy because there's a expression for percentage. You can see the name. I click OK, and the calculation appears. One thing to note, because I'm dealing with a percentage, it makes more sense to have the aggregation set to average. And to demonstrate what that calculation would look like when it's used, I'm going to drag it out onto the canvas and drop it. Cognos Analytics creates a summary widget, and you can see it's 78%. So what that means is 78% is the average time spent talking on a call across all the calls recorded in the system. Calculations can be used to manipulate text. The result of a calculation is not always a numeric result. To create a column which is the agent's full name, on agent I click more. The expression editor opens. Clicking on function, I can see there are a number of functions available to me. Because I know I want to use concatenate, I can start to type that, and I'm presented with a list of functions that begin with CON. I click concatenate, and in the information area, I now see the syntax. I'm going to pick up last name, separate by a comma, single quote, comma, space, single quote as my separator in the string I'm creating, and then I drag first name. I can validate my expression by clicking validate. Looks okay. And then I can also see what the data will look like when the expression runs. Give my calculation a name and click OK. And the new calculation appears at the top of the agent table. Expanding full name to see the members, I see the result of the calculation. Complex calculations that take data from multiple tables can also be created. The only requirement is the tables must be joined. I know that agent has a relationship with call log. To create a column cost per call, I come up to the data module, click more, create calculation. The expression editor opens. I can start to build my calculation, take hourly rate, and I'm going to divide it by 3,600 to get my per second rate. Put that into parentheses to make sure that that calculation is done first. And then I multiply it by the handle time, which is the total time of the call. Validate my expression, and I can also preview the result. I notice here that the hourly rate seems quite high, and the reason for that is I need to deselect calculate after aggregation because I don't want to aggregate the hourly rate. Let's look at that again. That looks much better. And I can see it appears at the top. Now, because this is a cost per call, I think it makes sense for me to come in and change my aggregation rule from total to average. Also, because it is a numeric value, I want to be consistent. So I pick currency, tell it that I always want 2 decimal places. I can now drag this out onto the canvas to see what the result looks like. And I can see that the average cost per call across all calls is $5.34. Documentation for IBM Cognos Analytics with Watson is available online. The video description below contains links for topics covered in this video. If you would like to try what was demonstrated in this video, you will find the data in the samples folder in Team Content.